Hi everyone. We are going to talk today about the latest happenings in the world stage, maybe not the world stage, maybe the USA. What's been happening with the Oscars. I decided to look at this not because I want to add more fuel to the fire of what's happening and the whatnot. I wanted to look at this because there's a teaching here. There's something for us to learn here. So bear with me as I go through some of these teachings because this is impromptu like most of the things that I've done so far. And there's a lot to be learned. The question is, are they serving a greater purpose? And what is that purpose? Are they light workers? Do they know that or do they not know that? What exactly was this about? So when I analyze things, people... Three players in this game, right? We've got Jada, Will, and Chris Rock. So I'm gonna start with. Let me just start with Jada because appears to be the simplest. I've watched enough of the interviews recently, and I've watched a few of her Red Table Talks. Mind you, she's very well spoken. Very well spoken. She's very beautiful. I've never followed her, so I can't say this is who she is, and even if I had, and this is my caution to everybody watching this, people show you what they want to show you, what they think you want to see, some of who they are. But the full picture of who a person is cannot be uncovered by looking at their outward persona. All right. No matter how, you've seen parts of Will, parts of Chris Rock, you've seen all that they have there. And a lot of that you can see who they are, but not all of who they are. They're not sharing what their emotions are, what their insecurities are, what their motivations are behind things. You don't, they can certainly speak to it, but someone's words and actions sometimes don't go hand in hand, and they don't certainly reveal the full story because there's a private life to every single person that's in our life. There's a private life. Only the closest people to them, and even sometimes those closest people will not know. All right. So I realize this is getting screened and analyzed upside down and inside out. Okay. And everyone's looking at it from their lens and what they can relate to and what they notice. And as in our typical approach, we want to have a character that is, the star, the conflict, the victim, the person, the struggle that's there, the person that is the hero, the person that is the victim. I can tell you right now, before I even get to the end of this, the victim of all this is going to actually be the characters that are in it, because people are talking about them like insanity. So it's a defining moment in their life, whether it's a positive one or a negative one. And also the people that are going to pay in some ways is those that are looking at this situation very, very, I don't want to say naively, but who look at this situation as validation for behavior that they move forward with or they don't move forward with. Like, if you don't take the teaching out of this and you just take the actions of what was in front of you, because they're role models of yours, then you will have missed the big teaching. So the title of this should be, Don't Miss This Teaching. This is a teaching moment for national television. All right. So we're talking about 3 successful, on the outside, they're spotlighted actors, comedians, they're liked, they have a following, right? That they are all black is not an issue. These could all 3 be white or be a mix of that. it still is the same when I look at it, at least. Okay. So we're going to look at this through our own lens and through our own level of consciousness when you look at a person's actions. So everybody who's watching this, you're empaths. You understand there are levels of awareness. We're on a journey of self-healing. People's garbage and wounds and emotions are at a very high level right now, easily triggered. You know that. All right. So I started with Jada, and I just said that she is accomplished in her own right. She appears to be a very, she's not afraid. She's not afraid to put herself out there. She's not afraid to say what she thinks or her experience of something. Her reality is out there for people to see because she's not hiding it. She's just saying what it is. So I give her credit for not hiding. But when you're in the public light, you put yourself out there, you can be criticized, you can be scrutinized, things can go wrong. All right? That's just how it is. Everybody has an opinion. So these three people know this. All right? She has wielded her power, like, very interestingly, because when she first met Will and they got married, the look about her was a beautiful young woman with long hair, right? Will had lifted her up, had helped her see the potential of who she is and where she could go. All right? So that's Jada. Then, and Jada today is a very self-assured, strong woman. If she doesn't like something, you will know just by her physical response to it. So she has a strong opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to say there is, because there really isn't. All right? Your opinions are good. Your intentions and what happens when you speak your quote-unquote opinion or your reality out there and who is hurt in the process are all factors that I would say come back to consciousness. Yeah, speak your truth, but are you hurting somebody in the process of speaking that truth? Should you care that you're hurting somebody in the process of speaking your truth? How much should you care? She, in my opinion, shows a real lack of love, of showing love by the actions that she takes. Most likely because she's looking out for herself. She feels powerful when she is feeling good about what she has to say. So what other people feel or what other people think are not necessarily her problem. Okay? So is that good? Is that bad? That's how she's choosing to live. Now, she's impacting the people closest to her, which are Will. So who is Will? Will Smith, like a very willful Will, a very strong name. Smith, a very ordinary name. Will Smith is an accomplished actor, a strong actor. If you look at him and you look at his actions, you'll know he's a very emotional-based person. He can get into character easily. He can do his job. He can uplift people easily. He brings that great energy to people watching him because it's just beautiful what he can do. Okay? So he radiates that positivity. Radiates it. He can be bigger than life. All right? He went in and he rescued Jada. Rescued Jada. Saw the beauty within her. They probably had a contract to be married, right? Sees the beauty. Did he see the shadows of his wife? Or did he just see the beauty of his wife? Our teachings, spirituality. We're all in a self-healing journey. That means We've got these great qualities that someone might be able to see about us, but is that really who we are? Who we choose to be and who we are. All right? He probably overrode all of the, I should say, negatives, insecurities that Jada had, all of the pain that Jada had, all of the emptiness that Jada had inside of her, and just wanted to fill it up as much as he could. Because why? He wants his wife to feel good. He sees her beauty. He has a contract with her, and this is his life partner. He wants to love her, and he wants her to love herself. All right? But there is no one thing, or two things, or even three. There's nothing any one of us can do to permanently fill up another person. And it becomes invasive when you try to. That person is responsible for their own happiness in their own heart, and so are you. Husband and wife next to one another. Both responsible for themselves and only themselves. And they come together to support one another, but not to carry the load for the other person. Now, Jada, because of all, she was wounded, she was hurt. More than likely, the girl learned she wasn't going to let that happen again. And the girl learned, Will is putting the spotlight on her, is giving her all this energy and all this power, and he wants to lift her right up because he thinks she is the most beautiful thing in the world. And they're having the time of their life, right? He wants her to feel that. He can only radiate that onto her for a certain period of time, and then it becomes intrusive, and she will reject it because it's not her. All right? Her has been born out of needing to putting a boundary on how much, defining herself separately. And in some narcissistic ways, I will say, even rolling over other people to be that person she needs to be for herself. Okay? So I don't think that the dynamics between them, her actual persona, I think is just a persona. I think inside there are a lot of empty spaces. And I think he couldn't fill her up, and she blamed him for it. And as such, she diminished him, made it his problem. Okay? So she found other people to fill her up, which is only going to last short periods of time, short stints, and made it his problem that she had to find other people to fill her up. Okay? So there's a big, really dysfunctional dynamic there of shaming between the two of them. And if you're an empath, this goes deep in lots of different cultures, families, communities. The woman's role, the man's role, don't get confused here, all right? There is what society says we need to do. The man needs to protect, the woman needs to love. And then there is what we're capable of doing. We can't give to somebody else what we don't have for ourselves. Will knows how to love and loves himself. He can give that to somebody. But it's only a gift, and it's only a fleeting gift unless that person themselves can step into and love themselves. If you don't know how to love yourself, okay, whether because you feel hollow inside, you never learned how to, and you certainly don't want to open your heart to do that because there's too much pain in there, you're going to expect other people to give you that. And then when they don't, well, there's something, I have no use for you anymore. You're not serving here. Because that's what you're here to do, to love me, right? And this is what it means to love me. And if you really loved me, if I, shot an arrow through your heart, you would take it because you really love me. A, she's not taking responsibility for her actions or the ramifications of it. And B, the person who's getting the arrow through their heart is sucking it up, being depleted is allowing another person to project negative, to project that negative of lesser upon him in some way. Okay, so that's the couple we're talking about here. These are two people of influence, yet they're real people. They have a real family with real kids, all right? What they do in their private life is really nobody's business here, okay? I'm analyzing this from a spiritual, from an energy perspective of what's happening between them. Will probably has no idea. He just loves so deeply the idea, and I've had clients the same way. He will stay to the bitter end because divorce, separation, losing her is not an option. Breaking apart his family is not an option in his mind. So he will do whatever it takes. And in the process of doing that, mind you, he just proved he is so entangled. That is an excellent word for this, entangled, that he has lost himself. He has lost himself to violence, pride, ego. Who does he think he is? Where does he get the right to interrupt a public event, go on stage, and slap someone? Now, the only thing that gets me a little bit soft around that, who gives him the power of this, is the fact that Chris Rock is somebody that has moved up the ranks of public life with them, has enjoyed success with them. They were very good friends. I don't know if they were very good friends, but definitely friends. There's pictures of them together, definitely sharing the same stage together. Accomplished comedian, all right? Mind you, I did not love the joke that he put out there. I thought it was in poor taste, especially since these are his quote-unquote friends. He knows Jada. He knows Will. He probably knew this was the button to push, not necessarily consciously, but subconsciously. I think he played a role in making this spotlight just kind of blow up. And I think more than likely there is a history of rapport of either positive or negative with the three of them together. Mind you, you don't know what goes on in and behind doors, what the real truth is. Because Chris did make a joke about Jada at Oscars years ago. He made a joke about them again now. Did he do it with malice in his heart? I'm getting a no. He did not do it with malice in his heart. But those are, he didn't do it with malice in his heart. I should just leave it right at that. The joke wasn't the most tasteful joke, only because what woman, how many women do you know shave off all their hair in their head? Very, very, very few women. There's usually a reason behind it. And women are very sensitive to their looks. Especially someone in the spotlight who has promoted this persona and this look and is this forward with who they are. There's very few people, I would say, in Hollywood that don't care about what they look like. And most women, in all fairness, care about what they look like. All right? So when she heard this joke, mind you, I think Jada holds a lot of power in her life, in her marriage. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think, how do you use that power? You're talking about a woman that Will fed for a long time. Then Will wasn't enough. Then other people came in to feed her sense of who she is. So in essence, She portrays strength, but it's a facade. It's not really from her own self. Could she have done that inner work? Could she have become that person? Maybe, but just the rolling of the eyes and the negative response of her body language to a joke proves otherwise to anybody looking at it. There was no reason to take that any which where. Okay? So, Will sees her reaction and immediately knows, damn, this is bad. Look what he just did to her. She's not happy. Let me go up there and take care of him. Immediately, without even a second thought, how dare you do this to my wife? Because she was unhappy. So he lives with a very volatile figure in his life that can be happy or sad. And if she's unhappy, he needs to do something to fix it. Whether she expects it, whether he expects it, that's what he did. And in the process of doing that, he lost himself. Because his happiness, her negative feelings, now his negative feelings, and now he needs to do something to prove that it's otherwise and that he's going to take care of this. How dare you do this? It is not the time, the times of showdowns between men and you just hurt my wife and you just dishonored my family. It's male, that male energy that I have to go and protect you, that you are mine, that I'm going to take action against you, and it's going to pain you, this action, right? Violence is not the solution. He took offense to the words of another person. Nobody else can make you feel one way or another by what they say, unless what they say hits a very deep wound in you. So Jada would reacted, how dare he make fun of my rolling my eyes, very, very, very controlled rolling of the eyes. And I can't believe he would say this. Of course he would say this, right? She's not happy. Her husband reacts to go rescue her. Rescue her? What is this? The times of rescuing of women have come and gone. Jada has proven to be more than strong enough to say what she needs to say in her own platform. She doesn't need her husband, or does she? Does she expect her husband to do that? Does her husband feel he needs to do that? So there's some real big miscommunication going here. But the sad irony of this is that they're all light workers in some very unconscious way. They all played a role. A sitcom, you can say. But it's not so sick when it's real emotions behind the scenes. Of the pain, how it shows up in someone that is narcissistic, and how the empath reacts to save another person. The control that can happen. And then the actions that someone who is going to go rescue somebody else with the violence. To the bigger scene. Let's look at the bigger scene. Countries at war. I've been offended by what you're saying. You just said the wrong thing. Now I'm going to go and slap you for it. Or you just did the wrong thing. I'm rolling, same idea on a bigger scale using countries that have leaders and agendas behind it. Agendas is what we don't know. All right? The agendas are not clear. People will never fess up to their agendas. I can tell you one thing. No grown man goes and accepts an Oscar crying his eyes out over his behavior and what just happened. Will is an empath. Will's been trying to fill up someone who is wounded. And just by the fact that he's allowing this filling up and allowing this draining of his energy to occur tells me, well, A, he doesn't know anything about the empath or the path that he's on, or his power, or how to use that power, or what his role is with his wife, or what his role is, his purpose is in this lifetime for himself. What is he learning? What does he need to learn? So I was talking about this with a friend this morning, and I said, you know what? This is going to escalate the pain that is already living within Will, enough that he has a spiritual awakening, enough that he firmly steps into what his true power is and how to set the boundaries so he's not drained anymore by the craziness around him. All right? So he doesn't become a pawn for other people's agendas and other people's emotions and other people's everything that have now, there will be ramifications personally and professionally for him. And it is what it is. They showcased this for the world. It wasn't a great showcase by any means, but I hope it makes everybody of all races take stock of just how dysfunctional dynamics in life can become, that people do need a pass. When you understand what's actually happening behind the scenes, you look at this, how many American men and women have shown these patterns of, let me rescue you, let me control you. Control, rescue. Fill me up, give to me, right? You've insulted me. You've hurt me. Who's responsible for our feelings? Who can we rescue? Nobody. The stronger a light you are within yourself, you know who you are. You get love because you are love. You know how to receive it from your own heart. You don't need to get it from the outside. You don't need approval. You don't need any of that. You've uncovered gold, and it's yours to share, to light other people up, not to support them, not to be, I'll give this to you every day as much as you want kind of deal. No. People need to become responsible for their own actions, their own feelings, and who they are on the outside needs to be authentic and true to their heart and their mind. Like one person, you're directed by your own inner guidance, not because other people are upset in your life. You need to take these actions to somehow prove something to somebody else or fill them up. Your job is not to fill anybody up. You can uplift, light the candle, light them up, then they need to go. They're driving, not you. Nobody needs rescuing. Women do not need rescuing. Men do not need to feel like they need to rescue anybody. Women should not feel like they need to go rescue their husbands. They stand side by side and support one another. What happens is you can have a toxic combination of people. One is always wanting to take and the other one's always wanting to give, to fill up. And it is a horrible dynamic. Horrible. And neither can get entangled because they are so tightly codependent on one another. Tightly codependent. It's not a good place to be. Anyway, I hope you learned something from that. I hope this video serves to bring together the spiritual aspect of what this is. Spirituality, your essence, what you need to feel whole within yourself, without other people. And learning how to navigate with all those other people and their, what dynamics are positive for you and uplifting and good. And what things must you become aware of as you navigate and make your choices? Who are you marrying? Who is in your life? How much can you, quote unquote, fix them? How much will you, quote unquote, accept them? How much abuse and disdain and negativity do you merit? Will you carry? All right. That's it. I'm glad to have you here. Have a great day.